Hello, Transparency Gang. Welcome back to Transparency Tuesdays. It's been a minute, but I wasn't just sitting at home twiddling my thumbs. And today's episode is to keep you guys up to date with what I've been up to while I've been away from the channel. So for those of you who don't know, I dropped my single, Don't Talk About It. It is available on all music streaming platforms. Left a link in the description box, so if you haven't given it a listen to it. If you have, listen to it again and again and again and again and again and again. So today we're doing the Hlobeautiful journey, and I'm going to walk you guys from the beginning till the end. So how I got to the name Hlobeautiful. For those of you who don't know, my name is Hlobile, and that's Nguni for decoration. So you'd say the verb for this would be to hlobisa or sihlobisile. We have decorated. So the reason my mom chose that name is because she felt that when I was born, our house had become beautiful and it was filled with light. So hence the beautiful. So beautiful. That's how I came up with that name. So the Hlobeautiful journey started when I was about 5-6 years old. My uncle had a graduation party back home, and you know these events that happen in a marquee that has been pitched in the middle of the road, like there's bound to be someone spontaneously rendering an item, and I happened to be that person. So they asked me, because they knew I was a bubbly person and I was confident, I guess they needed some light-hearted entertainment. So they asked me to tell a joke. I told three. And they weren't really interested in the jokes. I mean, what kind of joke can a 5-year-old tell anyways? They were just, I guess, fascinated by a little child being confident and being entertaining. And that's where the bug bit me. And from then on, I used to do beauty pageants, like anything that involved an audience. I was in it.
This may be the last chance I get to be famous.
But my talents were honed when I got to grade 3. So there was a primary school called Laerskool Drakensberg, and they used to do these festivals. It was called Cultural Festival, and that's where they were celebrating the arts, basically. So when I was in grade 3, my teacher took me to that school. I did well. I didn't win, but I got an A, I think, which was gold. So it was still good. Then eventually in grade 5, I moved to Laerskool Drakensberg, because I mean, moved to the factory. And that's where I actually started winning in the categories that I participated in. So my forte, so to speak, was the dramatized poetry, you know, dramatic. Yes. And like year in, year out, that was my spot. I always won, you know, that was my thing. So fast forward to high school, I went to Lowfield High. And we used to have what we called operetta and house plays. So it was like operettas were high school musicals, and then house plays were like all the drama without the music, basically. So they interchanged. And the best actress award was mine. You know, I remember there were some girls who got to a point where they started complaining like, oh, why do we even do this? We know that the award is gonna go to Hlobeautiful anyways. So that was my thing. And my family was always supportive, and when I say family, I'm talking my aunts, my parents. They always bought tickets to these things, and they watched, and they were aware of my talent, and they celebrated my talent. They made a big deal of it every time I won, the Best Actress award and whatever it is. But because I had a high affinity for mathematics, it just didn't make sense for me to do the arts. The arts was supposed to just be an extra mural activity that kept me out of trouble in school. Going to university, I did actuarial sciences. For those of you who know this course, it's difficult, but if you hate it, it's hell. And in the first year I did very well. I passed with distinctions, and that sort of fed into my lie, like, oh, okay, I'm doing good at it, I guess I should be doing this. And I kept motivating myself because of the said salary that I would be getting, once I qualified for this thing. I mean, show me a broke actuarial scientist. I've not seen one yet, Then second year, it wasn't distinctions, but it was alright, And that's when I actually started seeing some of my classmates writing supplementary exams. It was like, whoa, this thing is real. But it was supposed to be a 4-year program. Come third year, that's when I started failing, and I was just depressed. To put it bluntly, I hated my life. I remember, so I was at the University of Pretoria, and I remember this one time coming back from school holidays, and I cried myself to sleep that night because I just didn't want to be there. I hated it. Like they say, hate is a strong word, but it is not strong enough for what I felt towards this course that I was doing. Then my life changed in September 2015 when I decided that I was not going to be that person who will grow up to blame the lack of realizing their dreams on their parents. So I went to AFDA. This was in September. I went to AFDA. I inquired about it. So actually, I didn't even know about AFDA. I found out about it through actors whom I admired, and they'd always talk about, yeah, this is where I went to school, this is where I got trained. And I was like, you know what, if that's where they trained and they're this good, that's where I'm going. So I went there, I inquired, and obviously I had the APS to enroll there. I mean, I had the APS for actuarial sciences. So I got the APS to enroll there, but I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my older brother. And at this time, I lived with him. I kept quiet. I actually skipped school that day to go to AFDA. I remember I went to class. Then I watched everyone walk into the class, and I just couldn't bring myself to go in there. So I just sat outside. There was like a bench outside the lecture hall, and I just sat there, and like 30 minutes in, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Then in December, I told my parents, so I've been accepted to this institution, this is what I want to do. And I think they mized me, they didn't take me seriously. I don't know why, because I'm not the type to bluff. But anyways, my dad was like, no, we'll talk about it later. And later never came. So in January, my dad gave me registration money for the University of Pretoria, because every year you pay a registration fee before you enroll. So I didn't even go to Pretoria. I went straight to Johannesburg, got to AFDA, paid, used that money, but AFDA is expensive, Google it. So like the registration fee for the University of Pretoria was less than half of what AFDA needed. So then I called my dad. I'm like, well, remember that school I told you I was accepted in? Well, that's where I'm at right now, and this is how much more I still need. And I didn't get the reaction I was expecting to get from my dad. You know, he didn't lose his mind and start shouting. He's like, okay, how much do you need? He even like drove all the way because they needed his bank statements and all of those things. And he took the time, you know, and there wasn't even an ounce of anger. But the thing about my dad is he was a teacher. Then when I turned 8, he decided to go back to medical school. So he quit teaching and went back to school because that's what he had aspired to be his whole life. That's what he wanted to be. So I think he came with that understanding that, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
You know, no one can stop me from doing what I want to do. So when I got to AFDA, I wanted to do acting. Then during orientation week, I found out that they're holding auditions for music. So me and my clowning self, I was like, well, I've never been to idols. I probably never will be. I don't have a desire to be there. Let me see what it's like, you know, to audition. So I went there. I remember everyone in the queue was so tense because unlike me, they actually wanted to get into the music school, you know. I was the one cracking jokes, entertaining everyone. I think I had even made a friend and we were like causing havoc, you know. But it was helping people ease off their nerves. Then I remember when I got in, there was actually like 2 people before me and they were too scared to walk in for the audition. I was like, whatever, I ain't got time for this. If y'all don't want to go in, I'll go in. I got in, I did my audition, I got accepted. So at AFDA in your first year, they give you the opportunity to do 2 disciplines. So I did acting, I did music, and it turns out the joke was on me because now I was caught up. I actually fell in love with music. So I was like, what do I do? So, but in second year, you can only do one thing. So you can't do music and acting. You either doing music or acting. So I remember when I did my enrollment process, I was like, you know what, you came here for acting, focus, do the acting thing. So I enrolled for acting. Then I decided to go to the briefing for music, even though I knew very well that I was not on that register because I had not enrolled for music. I went anyways, and instantly after that briefing, I ran to the registrar. I was like, you know what, I was joking about that acting thing, so if you could like please just move me to the music. I guess he was used to that because he just laughed at me and moved me to music, and that's how I ended up in music. So at AFDA, we don't write exams, we perform our exams. So for instance, if you're studying film, you have to shoot a movie. For us, I was in music, so in your third year you have to do an EP and do like and they call it an album launch. It's like a 45-minute long show. So before you can even do that EP, you obviously have to consult with your songwriting lecturer. My songwriting lecturer was Thokozane Nzima. He's professionally known as Zano. So because he's was my songwriting lecturer, every feedback that he gave, you know, I took it seriously. And you know, the more advice he gave me, I kept thinking, no man, this is the person I should be doing music with, like 100%. And he kept mising me. Then there was one song that he really liked, and he was like, you know, this can be a hit. Let's just wait for your academic year. Then when you're done, we will re-record it, because I couldn't release the music I recorded at AFDA because by law that belongs to AFDA because they paid for the recording. So I was like, no, we'll just re-record it. This will be an absolute hit. So I kept on pestering him. He'd mise me, like, because after my undergrad, I then did honors in acting. This was 2019, and the reason I did my honors in acting was because I was like, well, I came there for acting. Let me fulfill what I came there for. And it turns out it was a great experience, but that's an episode for another day. So I'd still see him on campus even after my undergrad, and every time I'd run into him, "Sir, when are we having our session?" Like, we'll have it soon. And I knew I was lying, but I didn't care. And I'm surprised he didn't block me on WhatsApp, because I used to send him like gang texts. You know, when it starts looking like you're having a conversation by yourself? That was me throughout 2019. And I guess he got tired towards September. I was like, okay, fine, let's meet at this studio. Then we got there, we changed some of the lyrics and whatever. Then after recording that, he was like, I think we should do an EP. I was like, yes, this is what I've been trying to get through to you. Yes. So the EP is done, by the way. We haven't released it though, so the reason we've only released Don't Talk About It is to test the market, get to see who my target audience is, what radio station likes my kind of stuff, before we go into the deep end with the whole EP. How we got to Don't Talk About It. So we set up a day to do a listening session. He had about 5 beats for me to listen to, and they were like some good beats. But when the specific one came on, I just knew it. Like 2 seconds into the song, I was like, "Sir, this is my song. This is the one we are recording to." And I was like, okay, go home, think about lyrics that you want to write to it. I'll think about my own lyrics. Then when we come back together in studio, we'll quickly workshop the song and see what we cook. So the hook, the chorus, the don't talk about it, that's what Zano came with. And I liked it. I was like, oh man, I really like it, but I don't like where it's going, because it was going in the love song direction. And I'm not really, not that I'm not, I just prefer not to be a love song kind of writer, I wanted to sing about something uplifting, something that gives hope. So hence we have the Tsonga section, Hambi Sitika Zita Umelela. And he was like, no, it's okay, we can keep that. We're songwriters. So let's get together, let's manufacture this song until it says what you want it to say. And out came Don't Talk About It, which you should listen to. And the reception was beautiful. People are like vibing to it, and it's, what's the word? Encouraging, yes, for myself as an upcoming artist, though it does set pressure, to like start with that high of a standard. Anyways, that's the Hlobeautiful journey. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Feel free to ask questions. I do answer. Like, I love interacting and I love hearing from you guys. So till next time, goodbye.